Hi, I'm Juanita and welcome back to the Knit Guru. And what are we doing today? Bear with me. Bear with me, we're making this tiny bear. Why are we making this tiny bear? It's going to become apparent because I'll tell you at the end of the video. But what are we going to need to make this tiny bear? We're going to need some 3.5mm knitting needles. We're going to need some DK weight yarn. You don't need a lot, maybe 25 grams, probably less. You're going to need a little bit of stuffing because he's a wee stuffed boy. Safety eyes and safety nose are completely optional. You can just choose to embroider these on. The only thing that I haven't put on this bear yet is I'm going to put a hang chain on the top of this bear, and he's going to become my bear with me for 2026 mascot, hanging on my back. Yeah, so let's put them together, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you why it is that we're making this wee bear. Alrighty, let's get to it. Alright, so we're going to start with some DK yarn in 3.5mm needles. We're going to start on the body. Now the body is knit from the feet up to the top of the head. So we're going to start with our first foot. What we're going to do is we're going to cast on 12 stitches onto our needles. Now these 12 stitches form the first leg, or the bottom of the foot. So we're going to knit here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rows to make this leg. Now what we're going to do once we've got our 10 rows here is we're going to cut off the yarn, leaving around about 10 to 15 centimeters worth of tail, and we're going to cast on another 12 stitches on this needle so that we can create the second leg right alongside it. So once we've done that, we've got another 12 stitches cast on the other side of our needle. We're going to knit 10 rows into our new 12 stitches so that they're the same length as the other leg. This won't take too long because, 12 stitches, 10 rows, not a lot. So when we've got them, we're going to put them together and we're going to knit them as though it's one piece of knitting. So we're going to knit right across and back for the duration of the body section. So there's a couple of things you can do when you join the two pieces together. You can just knit straight across and back again and back again and back again, and you're fine. You can choose to knit the two stitches together, or cast on an extra stitch and pass it over one if you really want to, like some people do when they're joining them in the loop. But it works just as well to just knit right across and back. It's all good. So when we've got our body section here, you've got the full written pattern down below. We're casting on, we're carrying on to knit the rest of the body. So once we've got the rest of the body, we're going to get up to the point of our neck. For the neck itself, we're going to have to do an increase. For this, we're going to knit one stitch, and then we're going to knit into the front and back of the next stitch. That's going to increase our stitches from the 24 stitches that we did have up to 36. Once we've got that, we're going to knit the head rows. So we're going to start you can see the neck in this shot here, and the head moving along upwards. So not overly complicated. Once we start to get to the top of the head, we're going to start with the decreasing. Now, the decreasing at the top here starts off by doing a row of knit two together. Then we're going to purl the following row. Then we're going to knit one, knit two together, and then purl the following row. And then we're going to knit two together over the course of the full row for our last decreasing row. So what we're going to see when we get to the end there is that you get these little head ridges at the very top where things are coming in and pulling the top of the head in round again. So when we get down to our last few stitches here at the end of our last row of just knitting two together, we're going to cut the yarn, we're going to thread it onto a needle, and we're going to thread these following stitches onto the yarn itself and pull tight to tighten up the top. So we're going to pass the needle through the stitches, we're going to pull the yarn all the way through, and we're going to tighten it. This here yarn is going to be used to stitch up the back of the head when we get to the body and the stuffing, so don't cut it off too short. Alright, we're now going to make two arms, and we're just going to start by casting on 10 stitches, and we're going to knit 8 rows. I'll knit the 8 rows while you don't have to watch me knit the 8 rows. That would be fair. Right, now we've got our 8 rows. What we're going to do is we're going to knit 2 together all the way across this row here. That's going to leave us with 5 stitches remaining. Then we're going to thread the remaining stitches through the yarn tail so that we can pull it tight to make its little hand. So let's do that now. Right, so we're just going to knit 2 together. Knit 2 together. Knit 2 together. Oh, I've split that one. There we go. Knit 2 together. Knit 2 together. And that's going to leave us with 5 stitches here as we knock over our needle container. We're just going to cut the yarn off with just a tail left because we're going to use this tail to stitch up the arm in a moment. We're going to take our darning needle. You can use one of the plastic darning needles for this, that's perfectly fine. I just have this one here with me right now. And we're just going to slide them all onto this needle. Thread it through, pull it tight. And that's going to give us just a little bit of a paw right there at the end of our little bear. So now we're going to make another arm, and then we're going to make some ears. And then we're going to stitch our little bear together. Right, I'm going to make another arm, and then we're going to do some ears. Right, we now have our 2 little arms. So what we're going to move on to is knitting up our little ear. So we need 2 of these. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our yarn, and we're going to push everything else out of the way so that it's at least a slightly clear background. I always find it hard to do this while leaning around things. Right, okay. We're going to cast on 9 stitches for the ear. So that's 1. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and double check in case I actually didn't cast on 9 just then. No, we've got 9. Right, and now we're going to knit 1 row. The excitement is real watching me knit stitches. But there we go, we've knitting 1 row. Then we're going to turn our work and we're going to purl 1 row. And you'll be thinking to yourself, yeah, this is the quality content that I signed up for. And now we let the fun begin. Now, this next bit you can do is knit 3 together if you like, or you can do what I'm going to do, which is the centre double decrease, because I find that it just creates a bit of a ridge, which creates a bit more structure for the ear moving on. So what we're going to do is essentially decrease 3 stitches down to 1 stitch. So if you're going to knit 3 together, obviously you just knit them together, but I'm going to do a centre double decrease. So that means I'm going to slip these first 2 stitches together. Then I'm going to knit a stitch. I'm going to pick up those 2 stitches that we slipped and pass them over the top. And we're going to do that again right across the row. So we're going to decrease our 9 stitches down to 3. So we're going to slip these 2 stitches together, knit the next one, come back, lift up these 2 stitches and pull them over the top. Then we're going to do it again. So we're going to slip these 2 stitches together. Then we're going to knit this next stitch. We're going to lift the 2 stitches we slipped up and pull them over the top of our last stitch. And now we've got 3 stitches remaining and these little ridges which help to hold things upright. We're going to turn our work. And now what we're going to do is purl 3 together. So we're just going to go through all 3 of these stitches and we're going to purl them together. So I like to pull my little loop up larger here to make this next bit a little bit easier. We're going to take our tiny scissors, untangle it from our yarn, snip it off. This is far too much tail. I don't need this much tail, but I like to have more tail to work with for doing the stitching up than is necessary. So there we've got it. What we've got these little ridges on the back here, but that's going to help to hold our ear in shape on our bear, just like that. So we're now going to get on to sewing up our pieces. So if we go back to our body, the body shape looks ridiculous, I know. But this is because he seamed up the back. So if we fold him in half, and we fold him in half again, you're going to start to see a body shape happening. So what we're now going to do is we're going to take this yarn tail here, we're going to stitch up across the bottom of the foot and up his inner leg, and we're going to do the exact same thing on this other leg here. Am I going to be able to successfully do this on camera? Who knows? Let's see. Right, so I'm going to fold them in half. We're going to ignore the sound of dogs running down the hallway with their tippity tappity toes. We're going to stitch up the foot here. There. Right, now I'm just going to feed my needle back down through this line that we've just stitched up at the bottom of the foot. We're going to pull that. We're going to ignore the dogs looking for attention. And now we're going to stitch up his inner leg here. So just work these rows so that they're nice and flat, because being stockinette, they will want to roll up a little. And then you can do a mattress stitch if you so desire. I don't. I do a whip stitch. Is it laziness? Probably. But it's on his inner leg. It's his inseam. No one's looking there. All right. At least they shouldn't be looking there. Right. And there he is. There's his little leggy stitched up. We're going to do the same thing on the other side in just a moment. The other thing we're going to do is from the top of the head. We're going to take our yarn tail. We're going to drop our needle. We're going to thread our stitch, thread our needle through the remaining yarn tail. And then I like to come over to the side here where the last stitch is and just thread through it so that I can pull this top bit tight. And again, we're just going to maneuver the seam as flat as we can, and we're going to stitch from the top to this neckline here. So we're just going to go in one side and out the other. Again, you can do a mattress stitch if you like. I'm not going to. I rarely use a mattress stitch. I've used a mattress stitch. I think it's quite magical. I just like a whip stitch. You know, I don't know why. It's probably because it's so quick to get the result and you can see what you're doing. Okay, so once we get down the bottom here, I will turn the camera off for a bit and I'll stitch up his other leggy, because what we're going to do is we're going to be left with a hole in his back that we're going to be able to stuff him with. Right, there we go. There we go there. Right, so we've got a head, we've got a little body, we've got some leggies, and we're going to just put some stuffing into his leg and up into his head, and we're just going to have the seam here. So I'll just do that and then we'll come back and do the next bit, okay? Actually, the other thing I forgot, and we will do that instead at this point. What we're going to do is we're going to have a look at our collection of safety eyes And we're going to find some that we like. There's a green one, there's a brown one. We're not using green and brown, I've just grabbed these. And we're going to put in some safety eyes. Where you want to put these is completely up to you. What I recommend doing is putting some stuffing in and then coming back and deciding exactly how high or low on the face you want the eyes to go. But where you will probably want to go stuffing in, stuffing out, stuffing in, stuffing out, so that we can put the eyes in and put the backs on. You can skip the safety eye step and just use embroidery and embroider on some eyes if you like, but I'm going to use the safety eyes because I actually brought them out for this process. Let's figure out where to put them. Okay, here is our body so far, and it'll look a little bit crazy for just a moment and just a moment longer. What we're now going to do is just get a scrap piece of yarn here, and just so that we can see where to put our eyes, I'm just going to loosely tie up around the neck. Bam, 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 bam. I'm just going to put a wee bow. This is going to help us figure it out. So here's our body with a very loose definition of what makes a neck. And then if I get my eye choices, what options are we going to? We might go for brown. Brown might be adorable. Or, oh, that's green. Long-time viewers will know that red and green are my least favourite colours. I know that I've got a rogue green eye because ages ago I made a turtle with 2 different colour eyes. Accidentally. Right, okay, so let's go with these puppies maybe. Or do I go with the blue? Or is the blue one of the ones that's not going to work out because it's the other half of my mixed one? It probably is the other half of my mixed one. Let's go with brown. Okay, so if we take our brown eyes and we just have a look-see at what it looks like, if we just go in there and then straight across to here. Are we centered? Are we even the same shade of brown? That would help. We're sort of centered. Do we go all out at this point and put in a wee nose as well? We could do that. What's he going to look like when we put his wee earsies on? He's going to have his wee earsies up here. Do I want the face up a little bit? Is it reading a bit too mouse? Does he need a muzzle? No, I don't think he needs a muzzle. All right, okay, so let's see if we go slightly up and slightly out. Hey. Sorry, dude. See, now does he look better or does he look weird? This is always the struggle. I think we're going to come in, but we're going to stay on that plane. Okay. Get back in there. All right. Okay, I think that's what I'm going to do. So now I'm going to undo my temporary neck, and I'm going to remove his head stuffing, which, you know, a little rude, I know. I just put his face in and now I'm pulling his face back out again. But this means that I now know where my eyes are going. I have just had my nose fall out, but I can figure that one out. But I can now sneak inside there and I can put on my backings. So let's put on this backing. Have I got the wrong backing is the real question. Might have the wrong backing. Right, I'll do this off camera and find the correct backing for these eyes, and then we'll come back. Okay, face is attached. We're now going to restuff. Which, you know, is always the bit where it's kind of like, I'm so sorry, bro. I stuffed you. I took you apart just so that I could stuff you again. Right, we're just going to get it up in that head. Into his body. Yeah, you probably just stuff him. And then we'll come back and we'll stitch up the seam here and adjust the face and put in the ears. And then he's going to be done, and I'll be able to tell you more about what the plan is for this project moving forward. Right, okay, I'll do that and then we'll be back. All right, so now that we're stuffed and we've got our face on, we're just going to wrap some yarn around our neck here. We're aiming for that section where the increase happens. It can take a little bit of finagling. And then we're going to tie it off and tuck in the ends. And then we've got our bear body, and we're going to add his arms and his ears. So let's do that. All right. So if we take our little arm and we pull this cast off edge tight, we're going to fold it in half and stitch down the side. When we've folded in half and stitched down the side, what we're going to end up with is like a little stuffed sausage when we put the stuffing in. Then we're going to take our little stuffed sausage and we're just going to attach it on the shoulder. I'm just going to stitch around the arm there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our little earsies and we're going to see that the centre double decreases have created this little ridge which will hold it upright somewhat, and we're going to stitch them on the top. We're going to do that, and then we're going to talk about what this 2026 bear is all about. Right, so here we go. We've got our final bear. His ears are stuck on, his head and face are looking cute. He's got arms, he's got leggies. All that remains is to hang our hang chain on the top. So why are we making a bear in 2026? Well, 2025 was hard work. I think it was hard work for more than just me. So I would like something ridiculously light and whimsical for 2026 as a way of trying to sort of get through and find a little piece of joy and whimsy in the way that the world is going, because I don't know about anybody else, but everything's terrifying. So bear with me. What the aim is going to be is that we're going to make these tiny little bears, and they're going to be our little talismans of whimsy and quirkiness and goodness. I'm going to hang them from my bag throughout the course of the year. The plan is, if I can make this happen, because as we all know, I am want to make a big plan and then have it go out the window. The plan is, by the end of the year, this bear is going to have a set of accessories. He's going to become well-travelled. He's going to have little outfits. He's going to be a very whimsical boy. Or girl, you decide. I've decided to make my bear grey because we all know how I feel about brown tones. You can make yours in any other colour. This is our January project, is the bear, and then it's not going to be long before we have our February addition to Mr. Bear, which is going to help make him fun and exciting. He's not a difficult make. He's only going to take you about an hour, maybe two, depending on how quickly you knit. He's not many rows, he's not many stitches. Oh, he is knit flat, so he's a good starter project for a lot of people. The hardest part about the whole thing, we've got some knit two togethers up the top. We've got the sliding of the legs together to knit his body as one, but basically he's seamed up the back, he's knit flat, he's an easy project, and at the end of the day, he turns out really cute. So I will see you and Mr. Bear in a couple of weeks' time with his accessory number 1. In the meantime, if you want to stick around and find out more about what Mr. Bear and I are going to get up to over the course of the year, do so. You can click the subscribe button over here. You can also stick around and watch, well, some more of my videos. YouTube thinks you're going to like this one up here. And depending on when you stumble across this video, the rest of my Mr. Bear playlist is going to be down the bottom. Because hopefully by the end of the year, we're going to have 11 other projects of accessories and or friends for Mr. Bear to be dangling on our bags as a talisman of something joyous. In the meantime, I will catch you next week. Bye.